My name is Dennis Porter. I'm representing Prodigal Sons and Daughters here at Eva's Village, where the discussion will be about the stigma of substance use and recidivism. Thank you for coming.
Hey y'all, Wahida Clark, National Vice President of Prodigal Sons and Daughters, and we are here tonight, Patterson, New Jersey, Eva's Kitchen, where they're doing a forum on reducing recidivism and addiction. Like this sticker says, recidivism and addiction is not a stigma, it's discrimination.
Let them know what we're doing here, what's going on.
And tonight, we have two members of Prodigal Sons and Daughters, our program director and our director of mental health and abuse. They're sitting on the panels. It's on, y'all. Prodigal Sons and Daughters, we are here to serve you. Okay.
My name is Gaylord Hall, and I am a member of the Prodigal Sons and Daughters Redirection Services.
Let them know what you do, let them know what we're doing here.
We are a prison reentry and a human problem-dealing organization. What we like to do and what we do is confront the problems that the people who come home from prison, who have hard times reentering. Reentry is our specialty, helping to make people comfortable and returnable to society. Not as a burden, but as an aid. Not as a problem, but a solver. Not as one who you have to watch, but one who pervades over watching. To make sure that the good stay in the good place and the bad stays in the red. Now, as far as my coming to this, I have a personal reason.
Let them know what this is, what we're doing, where we're at.
This here is, we're in Patterson, New Jersey, at Eva's Village. And we're dealing with the stigma that surrounds men and women who have been in prison, but who are no longer in prison, but are still being stigmatized by that segment of their lives that they have already lived in.
They're being judged by their past.
Yes. Personally, I have been on parole to this day 21 years. I long time served my time, erased my wrongs, corrected my thinking.
And now he's here giving back. Talk on that, how important it is for us to pour into these lives what we went through.
Oh yes, this experience is the greatest teacher there is. They say that one experience is greater than 1,000 books of instructions. Well, the mistakes that we made in our youth, in many cases, is mistakes that most people don't have to endure. My mistake cost me 17 years in prison, and now 21 years on parole. So in actuality, it has become a lifetime stigma. We want to share. We want to experience our shared experiences with everybody, in particular the youth, because they need to know that this is not the road you want to travel, not the stuff you be seeing on TV or in your videos where you go ahead and commit this crime and then after the commercial you're back out here. No. Decades are taken from your life. And in some cases, physical lives are lost in prison. Or family members are lost while you are incarcerated. So coming to grips with the wrongs, or what I say, the misperceptions of society. Because in many cases, they are misguided in thinking that he or she committed a crime, watch out for them. Jesus said, let ye without sin cast the first stone.
Amen.
Nobody picked up a stone. Not even Jesus.
Leave these youth with one jewel, something that they can expand on or take with them every day.
Learning. Knowledge. Learn that there is much to learn, that you never stop learning, and that the more you learn, the more you are able to contribute to society, the more you are able to contribute to your own well-being, and the more they can contribute to their children's well-being.
Thank you, and let them know your name once again and
My
who
name
you're
is Gaylord
affiliated.
Hall, and I'm a member and a facilitator of the Prodigal Sons and Daughters Redirection Services.
Thank you, and
Thank you
continue
very
success.
much.
Hey, I'm Wahida Clark again. I'm Wahida Clark, National Vice President of Prodigal Sons and Daughters, and we are here tonight at Eva's Kitchen, representing the faces of recidivism and abuse. And like the brother who just before me said, Gaylord Hall, there's a stigma for those who have been incarcerated. There's different faces. Some have been abused, some have habits. My stigma is that I served 9.5 years in federal prison. I came home. I had restitution. I did my probation. Shortly after that, I get garnished by the federal government. Even though I'm paying taxes, completed my probation, no problems, running my business, taking care of my family, the federal government, because I have this federal restitution, they garnish all of my income, my royalties, my wages, my bank accounts, everything to pay this restitution. Instead of saying, okay, Ms. Clark, here's your payment plan. No, we're going to garnish everything. And they almost put me out of business. So I'm putting a face to what happens to those who was incarcerated and has restitution and get out. And if the government decides to come after you, they will. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Losheen Islam. I'm here this evening at the Addiction Stigma Reduce and Recidivism Program. I am a graduate of Prodigal Sons and Daughters.
Say that name again.
I am a graduate of Prodigal Sons and Daughters 2010 class from Kentucky. I'm here attending this event tonight because I am a #1 supporter of knowing that whenever you go through any type of addiction or anything like that, you can make it. I'm a product of it. I did it, and you can too.
There's been a lot more education around cancer, a lot more education around HIV and AIDS, and it's better understood. And I think that we're in a time right now where addiction's kind of getting there too, where more and more people are beginning to understand that addiction is a disease that is preventable, treatable, and people do recover from it. So we're here to really focus on the solutions tonight. You're going to hear from some advocates that have some redemption stories.
My name is Dennis Porter, and I'm a prodigal son. Now the word prodigal means reckless,
Microphone.
wasteful, and careless. And that's not a stigma, because that is who I was. You notice I use the past tense. Stigma, a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. Now, I said to you that I was a prodigal son. I spent 18 years in the New Jersey prison system. I went to prison at 17 years old. I was an Arts High student in Newark, New Jersey. I was doing all the right things and thought I was being stigmatized because I was trying to do the right things. It seemed like the guys who were doing all the wrong things got all the attention. It seemed like they got all the respect. But I understood stigma as a lot of you understand stigma. I understood stigma as an African American young male coming up in my neighborhoods. Some of you understand stigma if you're a Jewish person. Some of you understand stigma if you're a gay person. Some of you understand stigma if you got a weight problem. You understand stigma if you're dealing with HIV or AIDS. You understand stigma sometimes because your religious beliefs are stigmatized. You understand stigma if you're a substance user or you have a past of substance use. We can go on. The point that we're making today is that if we all understand stigma, then we all begin to see the effects of what stigma has on us. Some of us understand stigma if we're a woman. Is that right?
Yep.
I would even say that some of our elected officials sometimes have to deal with stigmas. The point in bringing all of this to the surface is that ending this thing called stigma has a lot to do with what we as individuals do, collectively understanding throughout history the damage that stigmas have done. They've done great harm in our society, has been able to deal with a lot of these stigmas. We want our legislators to understand that we have seen stigmas dealt with, many of the ones that we just named. But we're still dealing with the stigma of addiction. And we're still dealing with the stigma of being a formerly incarcerated person. And so we're here today so that we can have an opportunity to state to these gentlemen before us that there is much more to us than those stigmas have led the world to believe. And because of those stigmas, you and I know daily, we live with the fact that in spite of all the other things that we have the abilities to give to the world, we still have a number on us as if that number was attached to our wrist and we were in a German camp. Now, I really didn't come up here to say a lot today because as I watched the people coming into the room, this is one of the few times that I've had the opportunity to come into an audience and I could see on the faces of the people coming in the door that they already understand what I have to say. We have a room full of advocates, and we want to leave you with this just one message. Do not allow the stigma to prevent you from becoming an advocate. It is not enough anymore for us just to live with it. It's not enough. The time has come for us to take these numbers that we see in this room and to begin to take what we have in common and not the stigmas that separate us. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for allowing me to come up. And I appreciate the fact that I've had the opportunity to just enjoy your presence here today. Thank you for reassuring me that the work that we are trying to do is not in vain. Thank you.
I can't hear you. How's everybody doing? Y'all act like y'all at a funeral or something. Come on, how's everybody doing? All right. How many people in here in recovery? Raise your hand. All right, repeat after me. I am somebody. I am somebody. I ain't no junk. I ain't no junk. God didn't make no mistake. I am somebody. I was made to be somebody. I'm gonna be somebody. We don't care if the politicians don't come. We don't care if the politicians don't come. We gonna do what we got to do anyway. We gotta break the barrier. We're going to break the back of stigma. We're going to show the world that we are somebody. We are somebody. We are somebody. Give yourself a round of applause. Yeah, we came to party tonight. My name is Henry Muhammad Hamilton, and I am a person in long-term recovery. That means for 29 years, I ain't had a drug, I ain't had a drink, I ain't been to jail, I ain't looking for no bail, I got a place to live today, my children call me daddy today, I got a job today. Not only do I have a job, but I run a business. Can I hear somebody say that? Hey, for 29 years, I shot dope and cocaine. I did 7 years in the penitentiary. But now today, I own and operate an ambulatory care facility that provides treatment for individuals who have drug addiction, mental health, and co-occurring disorders. So don't tell me that it can't be done. That's right. Don't tell me you can't stop using. That's right. Don't tell me that dope got more power over you. Cocaine got more power over you. The streets got more influence over you. You can't convince me. You might can tell somebody else that, but you can't tell me. And I'm just like everybody else in this room. I'm not perfect, but we're striving for spiritual progress. I can remember being on the street homeless just like it was yesterday. Why? Because they tell you to do what? Keep your memory green. Is that right? Yeah. Repeat after me. Keep your memory green. Keep your memory green. Keep your memory green. Keep your memory green. Always be. Those who forget are doomed to what? Repeat. Those who forget are doomed to what? Repeat. Those who forget are doomed to what? Repeat. All right. They're giving you tools. Tools for you to sustain the recovery process. Why? Because we need you. You represent a constituency of change. The only way we're going to break the stigma of addiction, the only way we're going to change the minds of this political world that we live in, is you and I got to demonstrate the real face of what recovery is all about. We got to show them that we can do this. We show them how to get high. You know, I mean, everybody, I know everybody in this room can show us how to get high. Everybody in this room can show us how to lie, steal, and cheat and manipulate. Am I right about it? Yep. Don't act like I ain't talking to you now. Come on, don't act like you know this is some strange conversation. You know what I'm talking about. So if we master the wrong side of life, why don't we try mastering the right side of life and get the other benefits? You represent a constituency of change. You represent some powerful people. How do I know? I joined the National Council of Alcohol and Drug Dependence Advocacy Leadership Program about 3 or 4 years ago. And what I see is a movement of a coalition of people that can go to state legislators, present a message of what recovery is about to them, and have those legislators change laws, change policies for the sake of those individuals that are trying to get a second chance at life. That's powerful. If you only understood the power of your negative experience, once you understand that negative experience and turn it into a positive experience, then you will realize what electricity is. See, in order for us to have light, you must have positive and negative running at the same time in order to give you light. Okay. You can't know what good is if you don't know what evil is. You can't know what's right if you don't know what the hell is wrong. You can't get up if you've never been down. And you can't be sure if you never was unsure. Am I right about it? All things come in their opposites. That's why they got erasers on pencils. So when you make a mistake, you can erase it. and correct the problem. I'm talking about recovery. I'm talking about a second chance. The only hope in removing the barriers and the stigma that is related to our disease of addiction is for us to stand up and show the world that we can do this, that recovery is real, that treatment works. We came here today because we wanted to talk about the stigma. You know, when the governor and we went to the governor's meeting earlier, the former governor McGreevy was there, Governor Christie was there, the sheriff of Essex County was there, a whole bunch of cameras was there. Maybe that's why all the politicians was there. We should have brought some cameras here. Please, Eric, next time we got to put a bunch of cameras. Call the news media out. They'll come in. See? Because they don't realize who you are yet. But let Eva's village, under the leadership of Michael, continue to do what you do. Well, they're going to start coming. When you start going and you start, boosting up the economy. You start establishing businesses. You start doing the things that you qualified to do by the very nature of your existence. Once you tapped into those golden resources that God deposited in you, just like He deposited in everybody else. We're just like everybody else.
That's right.
We just haven't tapped into those latent dormant resources yet. We haven't waken up yet. But once we wake up, it's like recovery to me is like the resurrection. It's like an exceedingly great army rising up to show the world that, hey, we made some mistakes, but that ain't us no more. And I'm going to end with this. I've been a certified counselor for about 20 years. And I've been a licensed counselor for about 6 years. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, working on a doctorate degree. And I went and filled out an application for a disaster response counselor certification. And they denied me based on my history 25 years ago. So don't tell me there ain't no stigma attached to addiction. And these are the people that run the certification board. That's right, I'm telling on them. I'm telling on them, and I'm telling on them. Because it ain't right. But the stigma. But y'all, we can't let it stop us. Did y'all see that movie, Jenny Brown? Anytime something went bad for him, or he thought that somebody was coming against him, he said, that just made him stronger. And made him work that much harder to do what he had to do. So come on, y'all. Help us reduce the stigma of addiction and the stigma against recidivism. Thank you. God bless.
To relapse. I'm a multiple relapser. In and out of prison. Robbing, stealing, jumping over fences. And I said to myself, you know what? If I gave all that energy to something negative, it's time for me to do something positive for myself. And not just for myself, but for my community. See, I was a menace to society in my community. I destroyed my community. So now I want to build it up. And so I said to myself, well, how can I build it up? Just like I had knowledge of bagging up cocaine, knowledge of selling heroin and dope and coke, I said I want to get knowledge of how to reintroduce myself, rebuild myself, so I can show people when I come in the neighborhood, they see something different in me. Or not because my weight is up, or my skin is back, because that's what we do. Sometimes we want to go around the community and we let, oh, my weight is up now. Sisters walk around, oh, they got that glow again. They looking good again. And we forget. And what happens? We slip and fall once again. So I had to say to myself, I need to get educated on this disease. First of all, I had to know I had a disease. Because I didn't know I had a disease. I used to sniff maybe 2 bundles of dope a day. And when I moved to Virginia, I didn't know that I had a habit until I didn't have it anymore. And I started getting sick and throwing up. I said, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I getting sick? Why am I throwing up? So I made a phone call. Somebody said, well, have you had some of that stuff? I said, no, I ain't had none of that. He said, but you gotta have it. Here I am running the streets, don't even know what I'm dealing with. You know, a couple years ago, my wife lost her brother to relapse. He relapsed. He was clean. He got his weight up. He was doing good. He was even preaching. But know what he did? He said, I can try one more. He said, I can try one more. So guess what? He went and got a bag. He tried one more, and that was his last bag. See, some of us got reservations. Some of us got some reservations thinking that we can just do one more. Some of us feel that we can just go out there and start the process all over. Some of us are here for a tune-up. Let's keep it real. See, I don't play no games because I walk the walk and talk the talk. But we got to realize we got families out there that love us. Somebody's praying for us. Somebody cares about us. And we need to be men and women about the situation that we got a problem and we need to expose it. Because know what I was taught? I was taught that the only time evil can prevail and do wicked things and have conquer and destroy our lives when good people do nothing. They sit down and do nothing. They say nothing. They do nothing. So I said to myself, I'm tired of doing nothing. I want to do something. I want to make a change. So when I heard about this advocacy guy, I was like, wait a minute. You mean my voice can be heard? You mean I can go out and tell a story? Tell this a story, the facts? Do you know, I was just sharing with Aaron earlier when I walked in, do you know if you have a conviction, and it could be a minor conviction, in Somerset County, that you can't even get an apartment, affordable home or apartment, you can't even get it if you have a misdemeanor. You know, a misdemeanor could be like, well, guess what? I smoked in 20 years ago, and I got myself clean 20 years ago, and they tell me since 20 years ago, now I can't get an apartment. Because it doesn't say after 5 or 10 years or 20 years, it says if you have a misdemeanor or a felony, you cannot get an apartment here.
I've gotten fired from jobs, and I felt some of that kind of stigma as a person with an addiction issue in their life and whatever kind of legal problems that come up. But for me, the most interesting thing is how my family deals with me, because they saw me go down. I was right in my family's home, father's home, sister's home. So they're very grateful that I'm in recovery. And they tell me that, over several martinis. And they're very happy that I go and work with those people, that I go help those people. And I don't think they get it, that I'm one of those people. Because I'm different, because I'm their boy, I'm their son, brother. But I'm one of those people, and I think that people do that. There's a panel at the governor's thing today with the chief of police, and I often hear these stories from policemen that come to the listening panels where, I thought that those people were scumbags, and I thought that addiction was a moral failure and a character issue, and then it happened to my son. And now I think differently. And God bless the guy for coming out and doing that. But we have that stigma of other people.
I am the administrative director here at Evans Village, but I'm also a person in long-term recovery. And what I mean by that is I have not used alcohol or drugs for 24 years. I'm also an ex-con. I also have a state number and I've done state time, and so a lot of you probably going, no, really, Mike? You don't look like an addict. You don't look like somebody who's done state prison time, right? And that's part of the stigma, right? Is that you have to look a certain way to be somebody who's an addict or to be somebody who's done state prison time. And the fact is that you don't, right? This disease of addiction does not discriminate. It affects people of all walks of life, all socioeconomic levels, all colors of skin, all religions. Addiction works, treatment is effective, and people can and do recover from this disease. That's the message. And it's important for us to get that message out there. And I want to give you a couple reasons why. One of those reasons is that if you look at the mental health folks, they have something called supportive employment services. They have something called supportive housing services. They have self-help centers in every county in the state of New Jersey. Okay. We have a merged division. Patrick was saying he's from the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services. We have a merged division. And all those folks on the mental health side have those services. Well, guess what? Do we have those services? No. We don't. Now, why do you think we don't have those services? Part of it is stigma, but there's another reason is that we don't do what? We don't advocate for those services. The folks on the mental health side for years and years have been advocating we need employment services, we need housing services, we need recovery support services. And guess what happened? They got it because they spoke up.